The WRX TR. It used to stand for tuner ready. It had a lower price point and not a lot of extra stuff. So you could just roll into a dealership, buy the cheapest WRX and start modifying. Put on the bigger wing, put on different wheels and start modifying the engine to make more power. The Mitsubishi Evo had the same kind of concept. It was called the Mitsubishi Evo 9 RS. It also had a lower price point and not a lot of extra stuff. It didn't even have power windows. You still had to roll it up. Fast forward almost 20 years and the Mitsubishi Evo is gone. The WRX STI is dead and the top spec WRX only comes with a CVT. So not really a great time for automotive enthusiasts until now because the TR has returned. But unlike before, this is no longer that entry point WRX. This is $9,000 more expensive than the base WRX. And that's because it comes with a whole set of meaningful upgrades like bigger brakes, better tires, better suspension, better seats, and also that 6-speed manual transmission. So while this is no longer tuner ready, I think this might be track ready. The TR is pretty much what happens when you hand your base WRX and your wallet to a Trackday enthusiast. First, they'll go out and get the wider tires. Now this one has the Bridgestone Potenza S007 tires. They are very good performance summer tires. You'll also find them in the Nissan Z and it performed nicely there too. These are 19-inch wheels, which is kind of an odd move if you're a Trackday enthusiast, but going with the bigger wheels means that you could also fit a wider tire on there as well. So this one is 10 millimeters wider compared to the base WRX. And next they'll fix up the suspension because the WRX TR gets higher spring rates and slightly different damping rates. So this has a stiffer ride, and when you're carving corners and back roads, this WRX feels more flat and confident than your base WRX. And because they're a track junkie, they're also going to want to upgrade the brakes. So this one gets massive 6-piston Brembo calipers and also these very large 13.4-inch cross-drilled rotors. For the back, you'll get 2-piston calipers and 12.8-inch cross-drilled rotors. And with bigger brakes, you should also upgrade the brake master cylinder. So with this one, since you have bigger brakes and bigger pads, you have larger braking surface area. So you need to push more fluid through the braking system. And a bigger master cylinder will provide that so that you can maintain the same pedal feel as any other WRX. And when they're done with the performance handling upgrades, they'll move inside and they'll upgrade these seats. These are very supportive seats and they do a very good job locking you in when you're in the twisties. And they're also somewhat easy to get into, unlike some dedicated racing seats or the competition seats that you'll find in the new BMW M2. Now, up until now, the only way to get these fantastic Recaro seats is to get the WRX GT, which meant that you also have to get the CVT. Now, I've driven the WRX GT before and I thought the CVT was pretty good. And if you're going to daily drive this thing through stop and go traffic, then a CVT is probably a good idea. And that's the last thing that your Trackday enthusiast friend is going to do, rip out the CVT and put in a traditional 6-speed manual transmission. And perhaps that's the best part of the WRX TR, is that it allows you to have these great GT seats and also the 6-speed manual transmission. So now you get your WRX TR back from your Trackday enthusiast friend. They've modified all of the handling components so this thing handles so much better than the base WRX. And you get to thinking, what about the power? Is there any more power for the WRX TR? At which point your Trackday enthusiast friend is going to say, I've completely run out of money. I don't have any more room in the budget to give you any more power. The only further modification they'll suggest is the driver mod, and for you to get more seat time and become a better driver. And that's what all of these upgrades really mean for the WRX TR. It allows you to push the cornering limits of the car. This is the best handling stock WRX you can get. The stiffer suspension reduces body roll at the corners, where this becomes a more predictable beast. And the braking hardware means that you can stop the car harder and more consistently before running into any brake fade. And then there's the 6-speed manual. I mean, need I say more? Let's keep the manual transmission around until the end of time, please. So the TR is really what anyone should be doing when it comes to modifying and improving their cars. Modify the handling parts first before any of the power stuff. And that's what Subaru did. They improved the handling parts of the car and handed it to you so you could add more power. And if you blow up the engine, well, that's on you. As for the rest of the car, it is the same WRX as before, and I love how there's no TR badging on any part of the car. So if you know, you know. You'll know it's a TR because of the gigantic brakes, and if you peek inside, you spot both the seats and the 6-speed manual transmission. The look is still the same. 2 years ago when the WRX was first unveiled, almost everyone couldn't stop talking about how terrible all of the black cladding was. And now that we've seen it for several years, it doesn't look so bad. And inside, although you still have the same 11.6-inch vertical screen with a bunch of the controls integrated on this screen, this new one comes with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. It's also worth mentioning that the EyeSight safety system, which is Subaru's own thing with the 2 camera systems, this is now standard on manual transmission WRXs. That is the first time that has happened. But everything else about this car is pretty much the same. So if you want to see a more in-depth tour of the interior and the WRX in general, check out my link up in the corner. So the WRX TR is definitely the WRX that I would buy if I had about $43,000 to spend on an all-wheel drive, turbocharged, 4-door rally sedan. I love the handling and braking upgrades on this thing. It's the closest thing we'll get to a WRX STI, which we won't ever see in this generation. And yes, $43,000 is a lot of money to spend on a car that doesn't quite make 300 horsepower. So TR is no longer tuner ready. This thing is not cheap, is not your blank canvas WRX, but it is definitely track ready. All of those upgrades are very meaningful, and it turns the WRX into a track ready beast. You just have to do the rest of the work. And since you're still watching, if you want to see my review of the WRX GT, which is basically that car minus the big brakes and the CVT, check out this video review link right over here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching all the way up to this point. My name is Hanson, and that is the 2024 Subaru WRX TR, and I'll see you in the next one.